Hey everyone, I'm back again with another round of renovation tips to share. So you've worked out what your patch is and where you want to be renovating, and you're having a look at your variables to find out your personal strategy, right? And you've found the perfect place, you think. You're ready to renovate, or are you? Do you really know what the different types of renovation are? Can I hear you saying, wait, there's more than one? Yep, there sure is. And I'm here today to take you through them so that you can work out what sort of stuff you're going to be doing to make sure that your renovation project gives you the right bang for buck. So to start off with, there are a few types of renovation, and the ones you choose to do really do rely on the property that you're renovating and the budget you have set aside. So for example, if your renovating budget is maybe $50,000, it's probably not a good idea to throw down $40,000 of that into a schmick designer kitchen, housing the latest gadgets and whiz bang bobs, and then leave yourself scrambling for cash at the end and having to try and finish the paint job off yourself and maybe doing a bad job. One, you'll end up with a not so crash hot paint job. Or two, it'll take way longer than you'd scheduled and you'll end up paying more money in holding costs. Either way, it's not a great position to be in, right? So the budget side of things aside, I'll move on to the actual types of renovation that you could be looking at. So they're, broadly speaking, are two very accepted categories when it comes to this. You could call one the airbrush maybe, or the cosmetic, and it's the first type of renovation, and it's generally at the lower end of the budget scale in regard to cost. It's kind of like seeing a celebrity who goes from looking like an average Joe and they head into the makeup artist, spend an hour there, and bam, it's all this flawless skin and sexy cat eyes, and of course there's probably a little bit of Botox and wrinkle filler that goes in there for a little bit of extra oomph. So just like the makeup artist or the cosmetic helper, what you're doing in the property with this type of renovation is you're giving it a general facelift. It's nothing drastic like knocking down walls or rearranging plumbing. It's the stuff that on the outside that people see and the stuff that you're making the changes to that really can make a big impact. So when you walk into a room and you see peeling green 70s paint and rusty sinks, what do you think? Probably something like dirty or old, or simply, I'm glad I don't live here. But repaint the walls and replace the taps and you'd barely recognize the place. And the best part is you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to do all of that. Now, I know I'm always saying that it's best to have professionals do the work where possible, but in so many cases, especially in this category, you can absolutely do the work yourself as long as it doesn't set your timeline or your budget back too far. Now, these kinds of renos are usually quite budget friendly, but they can add some serious value to the property. Now, at the other end of the scale is really the construction or the structural renovations. And this falls into a completely different category and at the opposite end of what I like to call the renovation continuum. So this is the second type of renovation I want to discuss today, and it's a lot more in-depth than the first one we spoke about. The first one was all about the little touch-ups and the things that are lower cost to do and quicker to do. This one is all about dealing with the bigger things, about having tree roots that are maybe in drain pipes that get removed, about removing and replacing windows, about ripping off the tiling in the bathroom and completely changing the layout. Because this type of reno is a lot more advanced, it's important not to skimp on the professional help here. You might be able to, chop out a couple of tree roots, but do you really know what you're doing in regard to managing all of that pipework moving forward? Great idea to seek professional help. Now, beyond just the complexity of the job and the delay if you try and do it yourself, in most cases, it cannot always be a legal option. So for example, if you're needing to do any electrical work, any structural work, or any gas plumbing, you will need to use a licensed contractor for this. Make sure you check out the safety and building code regulations in your area and make sure that you comply. Now, As you can guess, a structural reno can involve structure, things like moving walls, floors, plumbing, electrical, supporting pillars, all sorts of things. These structural projects will obviously cost more than the simple cosmetic one, and they will also take longer. So keep this in mind before you go tearing and becoming a demo diva. Converting a house to an open plan from an existing traditional living space can be such an amazing money-making opportunity, but it can also leave you dried up financially if you haven't planned for it from the beginning. Also, these types of renovations can take longer than the first one and require a little more legal stuff before you can go ahead with it, things like council approvals and whatnot. But this also means that when they're done right, they can often give you a much higher return on your investment. So that's really the two main ends of the spectrum, the airbrushing and the cosmetic, which is pretty straightforward to remember, and the other end of the spectrum, which is structural and your larger scale renovations. But I really want you to keep in mind that between these two end poles is a whole continuum of renovation. And your sweet spot of your renovation, where your profit is your highest and your costs are your lowest, might actually live somewhere in between these two. So I want you, every time you're planning a kick-ass return on investment renovation, keep your mind open and think about where along this continuum your renovation plan may exist. Hey renovators, if you're ready to take the next step in your renovation journey, then come learn how to renovate with me in my online renovation masterclass. It's completely free for all of you listeners. So if you want to discover how to renovate properties for profit, head over to naomifindlay.com/renovation masterclass, where I'll show you how the 7 steps to my winning rapid renovation formula create a 6-figure income for me and many of my students. So save your spot today. Remember, it's naomifindlay.com/renovation masterclass. See you soon.